The Rangers got absolutely walloped at home in Game 4, and every team that has been at home has lost. Is it finally time for the Rangers to flip that script in Game 5? We're going to talk about all that and more on this episode of Locked On Rangers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked on to the Texas Rangers. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan covering this team for 10 seasons, including all 5 as the founder and host of Locked On Rangers. Thank y'all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Hit subscribe on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is to watch every single day and comment nearly any single thing below. Now, this was a brutal game for the Rangers, a 10-3 drubbing in Game 4, and there were some bright spots, but it feels just wrong to start with those because the game started on such a horrific note. Andrew Heaney trotted out there. He and Dunning combined to absolutely shut down that Orioles offense, in Game 1 of the ALDS. You're thinking, okay, Max Scherzer got rocked a little bit. It's okay. Everything's fine. You win this one, you're up 3-1, and everything feels pretty good from that point on. If you lose this one, you still just need 2 more wins out of the next 3. You got Monty and Eovaldi on the hill, but after the way they lost this one, it just feels absolutely depressing to be a Texas Rangers fan this morning. I mean, my goodness, there was just nothing that Andrew Heaney could do. Just jumped on by the Astros from the very beginning. 2/3 of an inning, 4 hits, 1 walk, 3 runs, all of them earned. The only good part is he didn't give up a home run. That's nice. If you're looking for bright spots, there aren't a whole lot to choose from in this one. And Dane Dunning mostly got out of the jam that Andrew Heaney got him in. Then he got himself into his own jam, which he could not get out of. The walks were a big problem for Dunning. 3 walks in 2 2/3 innings. That fourth inning, just it could not have gone much worse for him. He loads the bases with nobody out, and he gets a strikeout, and then he gets pulled for Cody Bradford coming in to face the man, the myth, the monster, Yordan Alvarez, and he gets him to fly out, a sac fly. Honestly, in that situation, a pretty good result and a good battle. I mean, Bradford doesn't have the most electric stuff, and everyone says that a million times, but the thing about that, why it's so important, is that there is much less margin for error for guys with that stuff than there is for guys who are chucking it 99 or whatever. And it's the same case for Urquidy. Urquidy was not very good. He gave up a couple of runs. All the talk about how the Astros' depth of their starting pitching staff is so much deeper. Well, the Game 3 starter, that was a pretty big lopsided matchup in the Astros' favor. But Urquidy versus Heaney, I mean, they were both terrible. Urquidy made it through 2 1/3 innings, and then the less great side of the Astros bullpen was able to throw in this one. They didn't even have to throw any of their big 3 in to win this one, which was incredibly frustrating for the Rangers. I mean, they weren't available, and the Rangers hit hard against these B team bullpen guys, the less than A-listers, but they couldn't quite get it across. And Bradford, despite having a masterful performance in that at-bat against Yordan Alvarez, getting him to get a sac fly all the way to the warning track, which feels like a Herculean feat against Yordan Alvarez these days. Yordan Alvarez didn't even homer in this one, but Jose Abreu sure did. He got the absolute missile that he hit to left center field to the second deck, a 3-run homer right after you get Yordan Alvarez. You got 2 outs, 2 strikes. You're feeling pretty good about yourself. And then the absolute bone-crushing, soul-destroying 3-run homer. The Rangers had just tied it up the inning before. I mean, you give up a 3 spot before you can even blink, and then the Rangers get it back by the 3rd inning. It's a tie game. You got Dane Dunning, who's been dealing, and then he walks Martin Maldonado. That's where everything started to get off the rails. At least Martin Maldonado didn't have 2 hits and 2 RBIs in this one. He was 0 for 4 with a couple of strikeouts and a walk that should not have been. I mean, Dunning was getting a little overamped and yanking his pitches, and was just, you can't get overamped against Martin Maldonado. I know it's exciting that you might get a strikeout. You're not a big strikeout guy. He did get some strikeouts in this one. I mean, 4 strikeouts in 2 innings. That's not normal Dane Dunning. You're more going for weak contact with Dane Dunning, and that's when he's run into some problems, is when he's tried to be more of a strikeout pitcher. It has not gone well for him. Now, those big strikeouts were huge. I mean, I believe he got Altuve. No, he did not. Excuse me, he did not get Altuve. He walked Altuve, but he struck out Dubon, who doesn't strike out a whole lot, and then just could not get himself out of that jam, and just didn't need to be in it at all. I mean, the Astros flipped the script. They did exactly what the Rangers do. They had big innings. They had a lot of walks. They had a lot of hits, and didn't strike out all that much. I mean, 7 walks is going to kill you. It just is. No matter who you're facing, 7 walks is deadly. And against this Astros team, it just will not play. It feels inevitable. I mean, a 2 for 4 day from Yordan Alvarez with 3 RBIs feels like a light outing for him. It really does. And one of those RBIs was on one of his outs, one of his few outs that you were able to get him. But this offense was clicking. They were doing their job, but the pitching just could not get it right. And that felt like the big difference in between these two teams in this game. This was a clear, stark contrast of what's different between these two teams, is that when you've got to throw the underbelly of your bullpen, the Astros are able to throw out Ryan Stanek and Hunter Brown and Maton and Montero and get, 6 2/3 shutout innings from that. I mean, they shouldn't have. I mean, it's not that the Rangers at-bats weren't good. It's just they were a little unlucky, but they still got the results. And meanwhile, the Rangers, the only guy who didn't give up a run in this one was Chris Stratton. He pitched an inning in 2/3, got a couple of strikeouts, did work around a walk, but was overall pretty solid. And Will Smith and Martin Perez both got tagged for a run late in this one when the game felt like it was already out of reach a little bit. I mean, this offense has shown the ability to come back, but I mean, once it gets to a 10-3 game, it's just, there's nothing more you can do. It's just done. It is just absolutely done and cooked, and you don't even have to see the good part of the Astros bullpen, because they didn't need it, because they beat you so badly with the bats, which is so incredibly frustrating. But the Rangers bats did put together some good at-bats, and there were some signs of life and some things that can be built upon. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But first, let's word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Jase Medical. The Jase case is a personalized medical emergency kit that contains 5 essential antibiotics that treat the most common and deadly bacterial infections. You can also customize your case and add additional life-saving medications based on your unique needs. Sometimes it's difficult to get to the doctor, or you're in a situation where it's hard to get the medications you need, but the Jase case can get you those medications. You can have them on hand, knowing that in any situation. Jase Medical now offers customizability for your Jase case with dozens of add-on medications. Choose the medications that best fit you and your family's unique needs. So you can also buy gift cards to send to your family or loved ones so they can get a Jase case of their own. If you want to get your Jase case, you should go to jasemedical.com and enter code LOCKEDON at checkout for a $20 discount on your order. That's promo code LOCKEDON at jasemedical.com. Shout out to the editors making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. On tonight's show, I'll be live, hopefully, if the Rangers win, talking about a Game 5 victory, heading back to Houston after that. The Rangers take on the Astros in the ALCS this week. You can catch every pitch of the hometown broadcast on SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search Rangers. Now, this Rangers offense did what they needed to do and just got incredibly unlucky, including maybe the most unlucky play I think I've ever seen, in a double play that was one of the hardest hit balls of the night by Corey Seager, who also had a home run. Seeing him get going was absolutely sensational, but 108.6 mile an hour line drive just right to the first baseman. And of course, with 2 runners on, and Marcus Semien gets tagged out by his batting gloves. Not even ruled on initially he was safe, and you have Evan Carter coming up after that. But no, it gets challenged because you have two challenges in the playoffs, which is a rule that I had no idea about, that you had two challenges in the playoffs until just now, because I don't think I've seen that many challenges from managers in the playoffs. But he gets tagged out by his batting gloves, which is the most obscure rule, that if you get tagged out by any part of your equipment, which apparently includes your batting gloves, by the laces on Jose Abreu's glove. It's just the stupidest rule. It's just the stupidest rule. And it makes me so incredibly insane that this happened. Like, just you could not script a more stupid, unbelievable, unlucky inning for the Rangers. Just so many incredibly hard hit balls throughout this game. I mean, the single by Corey Seager, 103 miles an hour off the bat. The homer by him was also incredibly hard hit. I mean, the Rangers were making very hard contact just all inning long, and they got the home run by Corey Seager to tie it up, 103.3 miles an hour off the bat, then a single by Evan Carter, then a single by Adolis Garcia that was absolutely stung at 105 miles an hour off the bat. Then Mitch Garver comes up and he grounds into double play. You think, okay, that everything is fine. And then that's where things went off the rails. If the Rangers were able to get a little bit more on that, or even the sac fly by Josh Jung, an incredibly well-worked at-bat against Jose Urquidy, absolutely smashed it. A sac fly was good enough. It got the run home, made it a one-run game, I believe, at that point. Yes, I made it a one-run game at that point because Adolis Garcia had already homered earlier in that inning. Just a really good inning for the Rangers that was just short. I mean, that sac fly by Josh Jung would have been a homer in just two ballparks, but of course one of them is Houston with that, Mickey Mouse freaking stadium. It would have been right into the Crawford boxes, and man, that would have been nice for that to be a 3-run homer as opposed to a sac fly. But alas, the Rangers offense just could not quite get it. Could not quite hit it where they ain't. I mean, hard hit balls from basically everybody in this lineup. I mean, even that lineup by Evan Carter right after the double play, 106 miles an hour off the bat. And then the very next batter that came up, Adolis Garcia, 110.7 miles an hour off the bat. I mean, truly insane. The hardest hit ball of the day was Adolis Garcia, and it was an out. Just incredibly unlucky. And it's so frustrating that the Rangers could not make these pitchers who are not that good. Hunter Brown is not that good right now. He might be eventually, but he got absolutely shelled this year by everybody. The Rangers included, the Royals included, the A's included. Got to this guy and hit him hard. The Rangers hit him hard, but they hit those hard balls where they were as opposed to where they ain't. And that sucks. But having Corey Seager get hot is huge. He's a guy who doesn't slump for very long. Having Adolis Garcia have these great at-bats, having pretty much everybody in the lineup outside of Semien have great at-bats. I mean, Semien did at least get a hit in this one and start a rally, and then get tagged out by his cheeks. Not even his cheeks, his gloves hanging out of his cheeks. Maybe if he had a slightly smaller booty, then those gloves wouldn't have protruded out that far. But I will never blame Marcus's booty for him getting tagged out on a stupid rule that needs to be changed to not include your freaking batting gloves. Just maybe players will just yeet those batting gloves into the dugout at this point. I think we might actually start seeing that, especially if it means that if you get tagged on those gloves that you're going to be out. It's just, I've never seen that before in my life. I don't know that I'll ever see it again, and it sucks so tremendously that this was the case. And I just feel like it's so frustrating that it was not only not ruled that on the field, but it was overturned. Like, I don't feel like there was enough conclusive evidence. Whatever, it doesn't matter. The Rangers, if they didn't get doubled off there, if this, if that, if the other, whatever, it just did not work out. There was a lot of the ifs, ands, and buts in the first couple games that the Rangers won, and a lot of ifs, ands, and buts in these that the Rangers have lost. Just incredibly frustrating. And there is some good news about the A bullpen guys getting 3 days off, which is needed. They've barely had any days off. Finally, some games where you're not pitching Aroldis and and Leclerc and Spores. I mean, the good news is if the Rangers are leading in these next 2 games, they could go entirely with their A-list guys and have a day of rest in between. So you'd be going to Chapman on a day's rest. And if you need to go 3 out of 4 for Leclerc and for Spores, I feel like you can do that, which hopefully the Rangers just only need 2 games. That would be nice if it does not go to a Game 7. That would be nice. I would not like this to go to a Game 7. It would be absolutely excruciating for everybody involved. Like, just truly excruciating, just like this one was. I mean, so close, so many times, and you just could not get it done. I mean, it sucks. This offense was doing what it needed to. The pitching was just this close. I mean, that even that pitch by Bradford that was hit into the seats, it was just 2 inches too far inside over the plate, as opposed to getting it inside just a little bit more. And that's the difference between that being an out and getting out of the inning and still being tied, and a 3-run homer that absolutely breaks your heart and just demolishes your soul. It was just, I don't think I've seen a more bone-crushing home run that the Rangers have given up. I mean, well, there was one. But we don't need to get into that. But still, there were some good signs, but I mean, this was your chance. This was a good chance. I mean, you had your chance to pounce on the one bad starter the Astros have. Christian Javier had a bad year, but he's not bad. There was obviously another level to playoff Christian Javier, which if this goes to a Game 7, I'm hoping that Max Scherzer can be a little bit healthier, not have as many pitches that he misses badly with, and can really flip the script on that one. Make that SNY account, eat their words about tweeting out his line. Like, such a loser mentality of SNY to be like, see this guy that we gave up? Yeah, we're sitting at home in the playoffs and we haven't done anything, but at least we don't have this guy who we paid $43 million this year. Oh, and one of our pitchers who we made the highest paid player in baseball this season is guaranteed to go to the World Series because we lost so much that we gave them away for free and acted like we were geniuses for that. So incredibly frustrating. So many things so incredibly frustrating with this, and just things not quite working out for the Rangers coming up. We're going to look a little bit ahead at Game 5 and what the Rangers need to do the rest of the series to pull themselves out of it, because even though they're not dead, it sure as shoot kind of feels like it this morning. We'll get into all of that in just a second, right after this word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Sleeper. The NBA playoffs are here, which means the clock is ticking on your chance to win 100 times your cash on daily fantasy baseball. Baseball has never been more exciting than it is right now, with studs like Corey Seager and Adolis Garcia and the little savior, Evan Carter. You can pick more or less on stats for these stars like home runs, hits, strikeouts, and more for up to a 100 times payout on Sleeper. Get your picks right and you could win big. Are you betting on Jordan Montgomery having a great day? I mean, he might not have the biggest strikeout totals, but you can go and bet on things like that at Sleeper. Use promo code LOCKEDON and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Shout out to the Everydayers for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. We're back on Sunday to talk about Game 6 in this series. The Rangers take on the Astros. You can catch every pitch with the hometown broadcast on SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search Rangers. Now, the Rangers have Jordan Montgomery going today, this afternoon. Maybe it's already happened as you are listening to this, but this is another tough matchup for the Rangers. Justin Verlander, a guy who was throwing a bunch of hittable pitches that weren't hit by much of anybody, but the Rangers still ended up managing to get that one in Game 1, and they were able to get to Framber Valdez in Game 2, and those are going to be their next 2 opponents, and then we'll see if they get to a Game 7, if they force a Game 7, or are forced into a Game 7, depending on who wins the next couple of games. Well, we'll see if they can figure out Christian Javier. I'm hoping that they can, but I'm really just hoping that this team, pulls their head out of the dumps, because this was an absolutely gut-wrenching way to lose a pair of games that you really, really wanted to win. You had the series. By no means were they taking the Astros lightly. I mean, the Astros just straight up beat them the last couple of games, and it's frustrating. I mean, this team has had so many "it's over, we're back, it's over, we're back," and it's serious. Why would this series be any different? The whole first couple of series were just, we're so back, we've never been more back. And then, of course, it's the Astros, and of course there's a game like this, and the Rangers are due for a game like this in the opposite direction of an absolute drubbing. That would be very nice. I would like to see that. Please, can we see that today? Can the Rangers just batter Justin Verlander? Heck, can we see it twice in a row? Is that being too greedy? Just 2 wins. Honestly, 2 wins. Whatever way it takes. Just get the freaking job done. And I'm not going to eulogize this team just yet, even though it feels like they are dead after these last 2 losses. It really does. But this team, I mean, think about what they just got over. Oh, those brutal last week of the season. Like the Fox broadcasters say, every batter, every inning, every 5 seconds of the Astros actually won the division on the last day of the season. And it's just, this team has suffered so many setbacks, so many different things that have not broken their way. And man, I am just filled with rage thinking about the what ifs. The what if the Rangers were just fully healthy? What if, even with this, mostly kind of busted bullpen, what if they were fully healthy? I mean, having a Jacob deGrom Game 1 starter, Max Scherzer Game 2 starter, then you throw big game Nate Game 3, and Monty in Game 4, and this series probably looks entirely different. But still, it's not the case. And this team has persevered over so many hardships, over missing Corey Seager for a month the first time, missing Corey Seager for a couple of weeks the next time, the Adolis Garcia injury, the Jonah Heim injury, the Josh Young injury, the Nate Eovaldi injury, the Max Scherzer injury, everything that this team has gone through to be where they are today, 2 wins away from making it to the World Series. And this is another huge setback. This is another demoralizing loss, and a team that has had more than their fair share of demoralizing losses for a team that is this good, that has been this good. They have had way more than their fair share of absolutely bone-crushing defeats. And nobody has bounced back like this Rangers team. Nobody has suffered like this Rangers team. This was really frustrating because it felt like this was the year that the Astros were finally vulnerable. And then, actually, nope, they're probably not as vulnerable as you think. Oh, yeah, Christian Javier, who's been bad all year, yep, he's going to be absolutely sensational in the playoffs. So Hunter Brown, who was absolutely lit up all year, he's going to give you 3 innings of shutout baseball where he only allows 2 hits and no walks. Like, yeah, of course, because of course. And it's just annoying that the bad guys keep having their turn. I mean, they are the villains. They are the villains of baseball, and they always will be. And as much as the Astros fans want to pretend like that scandal didn't happen, the rest of us aren't forgetting. Like Rob Manfred happened to forget to punish any of the players involved or actually do anything that was meaningful in terms of dealing out justice for that. The Rangers team is likable. Everyone is rooting for them, and it's going to make it even more frustrating if this Rangers team chokes away a 2-0 lead, because that's what it would be. It would be choking it away. I mean, you had the series in your grasp. You had Game 3 in your grasp. At points in this game, it looks more lopsided than it actually was. You had plenty of chances to win this game or to not fumble it away, and you didn't. You just didn't. And that's a bad place to be. It is a really, really bad place to be. And I'm really glad that this team isn't as emotionally volatile as the fan base, myself included. I mean, they take these losses much better than the rest of us do. Thank God for it. They have Bruce Bochy in their corner talking them off the ledge. Unfortunately, we do not. If I had Bruce Bochy in my living room talking to me after a loss like that, I'd probably be in a better headspace too. But I'm glad that they have him as opposed to the rest of us. The rest of us can deal. The rest of us our livelihoods aren't as much tied up. Well, speak for yourself. Mine is, but the rest of y'all's livelihoods isn't as much tied up in how well the Texas Rangers do at baseball as the Texas Rangers players' livelihoods are. But still, this team has shown the ability to bounce back. They've shown the ability to take on whoever's in front of them, whether it's the Orioles, whether it's the Rays, whether it's this Astros team. I mean, apparently it's just not in Arlington. I mean, if they were playing this at a neutral site, maybe that'd be better. I mean, the Rangers completely outplayed the Astros in basically almost every single game in Houston this year. I mean, they lost a couple of them, 3 of them to be specific, but they outplayed the Astros in Houston. And it's going to be kind of poetic if the road team wins every single game this series and the Astros were celebrating like kings and making fun of the Rangers for celebrating it all because they got home field advantage, which their home field has not been an advantage. I mean, the Astros have lost 3 out of their 4 games at home that they were so happy about their home field advantage. Yeah, it's not been that much of an advantage for them in this postseason. It has been an advantage for the Rangers. So maybe getting back on the road, even if they lose this one, getting back on the road will be like, oh, actually we play really well in Houston, so maybe we want to be there. I mean, that's not the case. That's not what you want to be doing. You want to head back to Houston, needing one game, being like Dirk and the 2011 Mavericks, and when they were up 1 game away from closing it out, a 3-2 lead, heading back to Miami for Game 6 and possibly Game 7. They only packed 1 suit, 1 black suit, because they only needed one because they were going to win in Game 6. I'm hoping the Rangers can take that mentality, can take this game. They need this game just to get their psyche back, just to get themselves back off the ropes, and don't give the Astros a chance to close it out at home with 2 games there. That is not where you want to be. I mean, you want to pound them into the dirt, have them reeling, have them absolutely on the ropes when you head into Houston. So you pack your 1 suit and you kick their butts and you dominate Framber Valdez again. Make him change his cleats 70 times next time. I don't know. Whatever you got to do to get this team back right. I mean, they need this one bad. It's not going to be game over if they lose, but it's really going to feel even more like that if you lose all 3 games at home. You had 3 games in a row when you were up 2-0. This is your chance. Go take it. I don't care if it's Justin Verlander on the hill. I don't care if it's peak Justin Verlander on the hill. I don't care if it is, Randy Johnson on the hill. This offense can hit against anybody. The game plan they had against Verlander didn't quite work as well as they thought. Maybe, I'm sure they'll revise it a little bit, tweak it. You got Corey Seager at home, where he has played very, very well in his career. I mean, postseason especially, he has played very well at Globe Life Field. Had a couple of bad games, or a bad game at home the game before. This game, sensational. Marcus Semien really, really needs to turn it on. I mean, I feel like I keep saying he's like just almost there. He's just almost there. There's no just almost there. Your back's against the wall. Everybody's needed. Everybody needs to contribute. And for the most part, everybody has been. I mean, even Nathaniel Lowe had a little bloop double that fell perfectly in this one. You need something from every single person on this roster in this game. I mean, well, probably not everyone. I mean, I don't think Heaney or Dunning are going to do much of anything in this one. They spent their bullets on that one. And if the Rangers get to a World Series and get to a Game 4, I guess they will definitely get to a Game 4 if they get to the World Series. And they might want to rethink the Heaney-Dunning combination, because the Rangers could have won this one, and they were just too far behind to get themselves into a situation that was advantageous for them. I mean, they had their chances, and they almost hit themselves back into it. They haven't done that in any game this year, or in this series, I should say. They've done that in plenty of games this year, but they have not done that in this series. They kind of did it a little bit with Josh Young homers in Game 3, but still, I mean, they are due for an absolute offensive explosion. I know it's Justin Verlander on the hill, but one of these next 2, at minimum, games, I think this offense is going to absolutely explode, and not just get a couple runs early and then coast on that and let the bullpen and the pitching staff hold on for dear life. That does not feel like a formula that's going to be repeatable as it was in game 1. Or game 2. That's not going to cut it. This team needs its elite, legendary offense to step up in this big moment. Go punch Justin Verlander in the mouth. Monty, come out there, deal a gem, sit this offense down. They have scored their allotment of runs. That's enough. Houston has scored enough runs in Arlington this year. They don't need to score anymore. They don't need to score a single one more. That is enough. They have reached their allotment. They have gone over their allotment of runs in Arlington this year. The Rangers could use some of that explosive offense, that Sunday afternoon offense that we saw time and time again. Maybe a day game or or late afternoon game will help them channel that early Sunday offense that it felt like every Sunday, the first, outside of literally the first Sunday, the first 2 months, that every single Sunday game, this Rangers team would just explode for 10 or 12 or 50 runs. One of those games would be nice. 2 of those games would get you to the World Series. So get her done, buckle down, strap up. It's going to be a bumpy ride to the end, no matter which way it goes. Thank you all so much for listening this week. And until next time, don't forget to enjoy ALCS Texas Rangers baseball.